Welcome back, Brickmaniacs. We're here in the BKM library going over the newest release from Brickmania. So this kit was available previously on pre-order, and now this is its official release week. The officially licensed by the Tank Museum Tiger 131. You actually got to stand right next to this actual tank.
Right. You know, I'm kicking myself. I should have climbed up on it. I didn't. I was too overwhelmed by being in a museum full of tanks that, you know, it's really cool to be next to the Tiger 131, but it's even cooler to be in a room full of tanks.
Yeah.
A building, in fact.
So if you don't know about Tiger 131, Tiger 131 is the world's only running Tiger 1 tank, and it is the property of the Tank Museum. Do you want to go over some just history about the tank in general?
Well, this was actually, the original tank was captured in North Africa.
Mm-hmm. Tunisia?
The Tiger itself was actually made in response to the Russian tanks that were experienced, you know, the German army encountered on the Eastern Front in 1941, and then of course 1942 when this thing was released. So basically, what they did is that, okay, we've encountered these T-34 tanks, KV-1 tanks, and the Germans had nothing with which to fight them, so they decided they're going to build this like super tank. It has like 4-inch thick armor up on the front here. I think they would say, in Europe, they would call it millimeters, 100 millimeter thick. I don't know what a millimeter is, but it's 100 of them, whatever it is. So 4-inch thick armor on the front. It has 88 millimeter shell. That this huge anti-aircraft gun here, basically it's anti-aircraft gun fitted into a giant tank. So they had made these things. They had this was like a drawing board tank in the 1930s, and they kind of canceled the program, thinking it'll never be needed because the technology that, for one, and the cost of making these things was just like unheard of.
Sure.
At the time, they didn't have it, but so they shelved it and then had to bring it back, dust off the plans after the fighting in Russia happened. So they immediately put this thing back on the drawing board, put it into production, and here you have the Tiger 1. They made about 1,200 of these, I think, during World War II.
Okay.
So.
Do you want to go over some of the kit features? So something cool about this is just the fact that obviously it has the relationship with the Tank Museum. So it's kind of different than just releasing a Tiger. This tank actually still exists, right, in its real form. And
it was captured by the British Royal Armor Corps in Tunisia in 1942. There's basically the end of the North Africa campaign. The Germans started sending just about everything down into North Africa to kind of shore up the defenses down there.
Sure.
And they sent some of these heavy tank, heavy Panzer battalions. Happened to have Panzer IIIs and Tiger tanks. And this one was captured in sort of the waning days of the North Africa campaign. And it was captured by the Royal Armor Corps using a French gun, which had been captured by the Germans, recaptured by the British, then used against the Germans. So what they had done is the anti-tank gun basically pinned the turret. It hit it right at the joint where the turret meets the hull, upper hull. Turret couldn't turn. The German crew panicked. This is they're guessing what happened.
Right.
Panicked and either surrendered or was shot as they were evacuating, leaving the tank. That's a little foggy. In the fog of war, things like that do tend to happen. So. The tank itself was brought back to England, evaluated, tested, and it has a lot of unique features. The color scheme, there's just things on this tank that weren't standard for all the Tiger tanks, at least the later ones that followed. But it does have, like they say, the Feifel air filters on it, all the stuff typical of the early Panzer, or the early Tiger tanks. For the sake of this particular one, we actually put a tropical uniform figure in it. So that is something that you don't normally see on a Panzer Commander. Usually you see the typical black Panzer wrap.
Sure.
But as would have been typical in North Africa, they would have traded in their black uniforms for a more appropriate desert-colored uniform. So therefore, we have actually commissioned this model with this uniform and a custom 3D printed field cap. So.
Yeah, which those look fantastic. And then we'll get into a little bit more detail on this figure and then the crew pack that'll be available with this as well when we bring Landon in here to discuss that. But let's go over some of the features of the tank itself.
Sure.
Obviously, the other 3D printed part that we have with this is that awesome muzzle brake, just to kind of add that final layer of detail. But then into the brick built stuff, there's a designed interior, there's a bunch of hatches.
Right. This goes back to sort of what we had done earlier with the Tiger tanks. We'd made, about 5 years ago, I think I made my first Tiger tank that had a fully detailed interior. Sort of like, basically been building Tiger tanks now since 2003, 2002, something like that. So it's been a long time coming, but the newer pieces, basically, this is a descendant of several generations of Tiger tank, but we'll just pull this turret off real quick here. And you can actually pull the upper hull off. This is kind of typical of the Tigers that I've done more recently.
But like, look at that playability. Just the fact that you don't have to like even unclick any studs or whatever to get that up. It literally just comes apart in chunks like that. Like, that is awesome.
So you do have the Maybach engine in there. All the air filter and radiator stuff on the sides of it, which of course would correspond with the vents up on top of the hull. Exhaust, everything is as it should. I don't know if you can see that real closely, but there is the right hull driver, co-driver they'd call him. He can't even actually drive the tank, but they still, because he's up front, they call him the driver. He actually would be like the hull machine gun operator and radio operator. He has a big set of radios right next to him. We actually printed it this time.
Very cool.
This has always been in my Tiger tanks with the interior, but we've never actually put a radio set in there. So this time we did it. You do have like a simulated turret basket. This will turn with the turret. You could set some guys in there. You're gonna have a real hard time fitting their heads in the turret. You can. It can be done. But have you noticed there is actually a turret ring. So when you put it all back together, and you can put your guys in the hull. You can put the driver and the co-driver, which I did not include in this, because that would just cost you a lot more money.
Right.
Already conscious about the cost of this kit because of this tan and dark tan colors. It makes it substantially more costly than previous Tigers that we've done.
Well, and this kind of is designed to not necessarily be a kit for your average Tiger fan. This is supposed to be the Cadillac of Tiger models.
It is. I just want to show you that these hatches all do open up. You do have the hatch to the engine compartment, the two driver's hatches. You do have a Brick Arms MG34 built into the front of the mantlet here. So I guess that's the whole upper hull armor. Mantlet would be this piece up here to be exact. So you do also have on the turret itself, it has the commander's hatch does open, and you have the loader's hatch. So you can actually put another figure. You want to pose this with your figures hanging out on the outside, you certainly can.
Absolutely.
So, let's put this thing all back together.
Well, and then each piece of kind of the different components to this as they come apart, each piece is super solid, but then you don't have to do a ton of work to get them to come apart. And yet when you put all three of them back together again, the model becomes super solid and swooshable once again. So, I mean, it's incredibly well designed. Well done.
There's many years of Tiger development gone into this model. And if you notice, there's lots of copycat Tiger builders out there in the internet. Almost all of the features on this one have been incorporated into other people's. So, that's pretty much it. I did manage to put the tracks on the front of this one. Never done that before. What else is there? Full stickers. You do have the Tiger 131 stickers, is modeled after the real tank.
Well, and isn't there kind of a cool? Doesn't some of the proceeds from this go back to the Tank Museum?
Right. This is a benefit actually for the Tank Museum. That's Tank Museum Bovington in Bovington, England, where they actually have this tank and many others. I mean, the Tank Museum is beautiful. If you ever get a chance to go there, I would highly recommend it. We got a chance to go earlier, about a month or two back, and it was fantastic. But even still, they have all their stuff is out there on the internet. You can basically take a virtual tour of the museum. Hundreds and hundreds of videos have been shot there. So it's really cool, really great sort of asset to the historical community that this museum exists. And we are happy and proud to be doing this in conjunction with the museum and donating a portion of the royalties, I guess, would be the way to describe it. We have licensed it. It's an official license, and as part of the license, you are helping the museum continue what they do.
Yeah, so that's really cool. Awesome project to have in between the two of them. And then obviously it produced an awesome kit, so what a great addition to the collection. And then, I mean, how often do you get to own a model variant of a tank, much less made out of Lego, where the tank actually exists? I mean, that is so cool.
Right, and if you're wondering, where did, I know this tank, I've seen it. It was in the movie Fury. So that's one of the most famous. It's the only Tiger in a movie that's actually been the actual Tiger. So it's pretty cool. They didn't repaint it or anything. They left it in the desert camouflage scheme, which is actually pretty close to what it would have been at the end of the war anyway when that movie took place.
Cool.
I do want to point out that this does have semi-working suspension. So the road wheels will. I wish I had something to roll it on besides my hand here, but you can see
that works.
It will actually roll. The suspension works. It's posable. So Another feature that's in all of these tanks that are, all the Tigers that Brickmania does. And I should point out that this is the only Tiger that we're going to have going forward for like all of 2020.
Sure.
So if you are really quick, you might be able to catch one of the last year's Tigers. Still available on the website. You have to be real quick.
Are there? So I was going to say
there's a handful left. After that, this is the only Tiger that's going to be available. We're pretty proud of this one. So
yeah, this is a Tiger definitely worthy of being Brickmania and the Tank Museum's Tiger. So very, very well done. Anything about specifically about the kit that you want to continue to cover?
No, I just I'm happy with the way the camouflage worked out. It's I always look at things and go, there's things I wish I could improve upon, but at this point, the printed wheel, these are printed, by the way. I should point out, somebody had to print all of these 24 road wheels. Not 3D printed. That's a Lego part with a UV
printed on top, right? It's not a sticker.
Yeah, just like the figure. And if you have any of our figures, you know that you cannot scratch off that UV printing. It's bulletproof. Any of the UV
you can damage the Lego sooner than you can.
Right. we did have to do stickers for the turret numbers and the hull insignia because it crosses elements.
Sure.
But the figure, the radio set, and the road wheels are all UV printed.
All printed, so no expense spared, and it looks fantastic. You can totally tell. So, and then also going to be available with this is the Tiger Crew Pack. So if you want to not only have your commander but also the entire crew, we're going to go over that here in just a second. We bring Landon in and talk about the Tiger Crew Pack. So also available, aside from Tiger 131 this week as a kit, is the Tiger Crew Pack, which is totally awesome. Landon, why don't you tell me a little bit more about this 5-figure crew pack?
Yes, all right, so this is like hot off the press as of today. So we have this really cool packaging here that we're kind of debuting for the first time, which is a cool way of displaying this figure. So we have them built into here with the bricks, with the plates. I'll just open this right up, actually.
Yeah, give it a little shake. They're not going anywhere. It's kind of awesome.
It's pretty solid. So it's on this cool backer card, and then you can see here, I just have it, clicked in right with a stud, which is kind of cool. So we can go over each of the crew packs.
Yeah, let's do it.
And this isn't specific to the 131. This is more of inspired by like a European late war theater. So he's got 44 dot camouflage, so 1944 onward. And then this is just the movie Fury didn't appear to have like a specific crew with them. So this is just kind of like what would be maybe a close approximation of something from that that film was inspired by that era. And then so you have all the different positions in this crew. And I kept the ranks and the uniforms generic again, so you can kind of use some freedom of imagination there. So you'll notice right off the bat that 4 of them are wearing headsets, and the gun loader is not wearing a headset, because that's something I was just sort of researching. Do they all wear headsets? Apparently earlier in the war, I think it was just 2 of the guys had headsets, and then later in the war, 4 of them, except for the loader, would get headsets.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I thought that was also kind of cool there. Depending on how you line up these headsets here, the Germans had throat mics, so you could kind of simulate. So it's just 2 little microphones on the throat. Yeah, you still see it like to modern day. There's just different microphone styles. So they have
give it a little tilt.
Yeah, if you give it a little tilt, it kind of simulates that. I thought it was cool. So it's a close approximation of that. And then of course you have 4 custom printed in-house, designed in-house and printed in-house. You have a field cap and you have this side cap. And there's printing on there's UV printing on those as well. So beautiful artwork. Both, it's like really cool 3D models, and it's a slick looking crew here. So you have the just kind of the gray utility shirts on to the crew there, and that black Panzer uniform. And what else? There's some Oakley fall variant on this guy, kind of. It's fall. I figured I'd bust out that artwork. So
yeah,
we've seen this the spring variant of that oak leaf camouflage in the past on the Kursk soldiers.
Okay.
So this is kind of we're debuting this the fall variant for it's the fall. Why not? I thought it'd be cool. And again, these are kind of just all inspired by what I thought kind of captured that era of World War II, late war. Just some different uniform variants. So there's a lot of playability here. Kind of just interesting, lots of different character types that you can kind of create different dioramas with. So,
well, and I know it's been kind of a while since we've done a crew pack that's like just figure exclusive, and
Right.
the individualism in the artwork going with these guys, and then obviously the headgear that they have coming with them as well. I mean, it's pretty impressive to be able to have something that is. It's kind of like the ACAV crew pack,
Right.
where like each guy really has his own thing going on. That's a pretty cool thing to bring to the table.
yeah, that's kind of what I was. I think again, good to mention that ACAV crew pack, because it does give you a chance to kind of explore different variants. Whereas if you just need to make one minifigure for a tank, let's say, you have to kind of figure out what will be the best one to cover as much as possible. Where this lets you kind of really explore the different variants in all of it, and just different styles. Like some of them are wearing boots, some of them are wearing the high boots, some of them are wearing the low boots. You just get some different uniform variants, and yeah, it's a lot of fun to design these different crews. So
well, and for the custom printed caps, I mean, look at the way these sit on that Lego head. That's not exactly easy to design that way. I mean, I'm sure it took a lot of trial and error on your part, but man, the way you have them sitting, on that forehead, if you will.
I'm not going to take all the credit for designing these hats. It was actually a MN art girl, and then
the crew.
The crew,
right? The crew all together. Making the Brickmania team putting effort into it. But anyways, they knocked it out of the park. Just where it sits, it looks really, really good.
So yeah, I will pass along your compliments to the 3D printing crew. Yeah, so these are always a lot of fun to put together, and of course it's got some cool packaging to go with it. So yeah. I'll get that put back in the package.
Yeah, the Tiger Crew Pack available for purchase now the same week as the official Tiger 131 kit. So that is the designer's desk for the new Tiger 131 kit in conjunction with the Tank Museum in Bovington. Also available is the Tiger Crew Pack as well, and that looks totally awesome. So pretty cool combo to have together as well. Anything else you want to cover, Dan?
No, get them while they last. This is the holiday season. If you don't get them now, might have to wait a while.
All right, very cool. Once again, this is Brickmania's Tiger moving forward, so make sure to get your hands on one and enjoy it. Otherwise, thanks for watching.